Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaM Sports Varsity. I'm your host, Frank Langella, joined by my co-host, again, Marsilio Langella. And Mars, this is the Frank's Finest reveal for Class 1B. Couldn't be happier with the support that we've gotten for our last video, our first one for 1A.
Yeah.
It was great. We really do appreciate everyone's support and hopefully your continued support. And we're going to get right into the 1B, but I just want to first make a couple comments. Those who don't know, if this is your first time watching, this is revealing the top football players returning for this upcoming season in March for the Class 1B in Section 1. And again, we both collaborate a lot on this.
Yep.
It takes a lot of film work, talking to coaches, stats, analytics, all that bunched together to make this selection. And I know we'll ruffle some feathers, but that's part of life.
Yeah.
These kids deserve to be recognized, and we feel strongly about it.
Yeah, Frank, you kind of hit everything on the head. The fact is, there's a lot of work. I mean, let me tell you, a lot of tape has to be watched, a lot of breakdowns we have to do. And listen, me and you both love football so much, but it's tiring. It's tiring going through this list. But like you said, you're going to end up ruffling some feathers because some people are going to want to be on this list, and unfortunately, not everyone can make it. And I said this in the other show, but we wish we could make a top 100 list because then we would have as many players as possible. But that's just how it is.
It's tough, and we have to make tough decisions. But if this motivates some kids for the upcoming season, I think.
Listen, if they have a poster of your face on their locker and making them have to work harder, that's a plus there.
It is. And those that were asking, we try to deck out our scenery based on the class for the teams, and we obviously want to improve our scenery. So any coaches or any fans watching out there that can help us get some added memorabilia to deck out the set, please feel welcome to let us know. We would really appreciate it. Any help whatsoever, even if it's sending us a link that we can come find some of this stuff. But Mars, let's dive into it. Let's get to the kids of Class 1B. And starting off is at the quarterback spot. And just talking quarterback overall, Class B is very interesting. You're going to see a lot of new faces at the quarterback spot. A lot of graduated seniors from the team. So you're going to see a lot of new faces. And the winner for this year's Frank's Finest in Class B, not an easy choice, but I think one that we both agree wholeheartedly. And we're going to go with Matt Sardo from Westlake. And now this kid is moving. He was a part-time quarterback last year. Now he's moving full-time quarterback from the running back spot. He was all conference last year, 813 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns. This kid, when I spoke to Coach about him, he says he's a true leader on and off the field. He has that it factor. Remember we were talking a lot about the last show about that. Coach just came out and said it. He has that it factor. He's motivating. They run sprints at practice. He never not comes in first place, this guy. So he's always, battling to be number one, even on sprints, whether it's in plays, running sprints at the end of practice. I really like that when I hear that. And, there's no mistake why he doesn't lose those sprints, Mars, and it's because he's absolutely explosive when I watch him on tape. He has that home run speed once he gets into the open field. He hits the hole hard. And, he's not the biggest guy, about 170 pounds, but he has a shiftiness to him in the hole that makes that first defender miss. And, he's hard to square up. He's a slippery running back. And then when he gets to that open field, like I mentioned, he has that sixth gear, that home run speed, to get huge chunk plays. And I know the question is going to be, well, can he throw? But, if anyone who watches Westlake, they know they are a run-heavy scheme. And this guy, one of the best athletes in Class 1B at the quarterback spot, we've seen that move a lot. And I think he's going to really flourish. And I think he'll have, he'll make throws that will keep defenses honest. So I really believe Matt Sardo is going to explode this year. And, based on the tape last year, based on what I think he's going to do this year, he's my Frank's Finest at the quarterback spot.
Yeah, Frank, I mean, you kind of nailed on the two biggest points that I'm going to touch on is the fact that he's versatile. Like, he can be all over the place. I saw him last year play at running back. I saw him line up as a slot. I saw him play at quarterback. That is a dangerous weapon to have on your team. And the second thing you said was speed. Yeah. He has that breakaway speed that if once you make one person miss, no one's stopping him. And the fact I also have here is that he's a powerful runner. I mean, he is explosive to the point where arm tackles will not take him down. Usually you see those speed guys that if they get touched, they go down. But he's a powerful runner. He will take a hit and he'll keep going. And that's what I think is the biggest, scariest thing about him is that, you're going to need to have more than one guy to bottle this guy up. And like you said, really what Coach said, he's an it factor type of player.
He is. And he's definitely our quarterback. And I actually did a breakdown on Matt last year.
For this video, we're going to talk about number 2, Matthew Sardo, running back, quarterback, and safety for Westlake High School, located right here. He's moving to a full-time position at the quarterback spot. He's one of the top returning players in Class B, and in my opinion, one of the more explosive runners of the football in Section 1. He's really a well-rounded football player. He makes plays on both sides of the ball. But what I like, we're going to focus on the offensive end, is that he has that extra gear. He has that explosive speed, that big chunk plays once he gets into open field. That's important. He also another player who can run through contact, runs through arm tackles. He makes that first defender miss, which is really important for a running back. Versatile kid. He also runs patterns, like I mentioned. But he's going to be moving into the quarterback spot in a run-heavy scheme. We're going to go over a few plays that show these traits. He's located right there. Okay, what the offense is going to do, they're going to run a sweep. Okay, so they're going to get a down block. They're going to get a crash on the end. And they're going to get a kick out. You're going to see him get into the hole. He's going to make a guy miss, run through contact, and then the speed. Okay, so there he is. He gets the ball. This is pretty well blocked, a man on a man, but you see a guy coming clean. And now watch him. He makes the guy miss. 2 guys miss. Look at the spin move in open field, and watch the explosive speed. This is the home run hitting speed right there. Kid at 5'11", good size, 175 pounds. Obviously, he has room to put a little more muscle on his body, but again, explosive. Okay, let's watch it again. You got to be able to make that first defender miss. Okay, that's what the really good running backs do consistently, and there's that speed. Okay, you see this often on his tape. All right, that's nice. Nice job. Let's go to another play. This is him at the quarterback position. This is where he's going to make his full-time change this upcoming year. Again, really talented runner and a good enough athlete to keep defenses honest, but this time they're going to show his running ability again. They're going to motion this guy. They're going to be doing a power read, focusing on the end man on the line of scrimmage. He's going to keep it. You're going to see the athleticism, the quick, sudden change, and again, that elite speed that I think he has, that breakaway speed, that extra gear. Okay, there he is on the ride. Okay, look at him cut across the field, and then watch the speed again. He just knows how to turn the corner because he has really good speed. Look at him dive for the pylon, touchdown. It's nice. One more time. Okay. Shows solid vision. It's a run-heavy scheme for Westlake, and I think he's going to do just fine. He's a really talented runner.
All right, Mars. Going now to the skill guys. Let's start at the running back spot, and I'm going to go with Byram Hill's Matt Wheeler. This kid, he got All-State nomination back in 2019. 5'11", 215. He is well built. He looks like a legit running back. He had 550 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. And when I spoke to Coach about him, he says he's a great leader. He leads by example, and he's a humble kid. I also saw him at the Armory Combine, which they did from Prospect NYS, and they do a fantastic job talking about prospects. But he killed it at the Combine. And when I watch him, he's the kind of running back that can fit multiple schemes. If you want to run spread, he can do spread with his speed. If you want to run a power-type offense, he has that power to run through contact. I really like the blend of speed, vision, and power that he possesses. I also really like his ability to make that first defender miss. We always talk about this as running backs. You got to be able to make that first defender miss most of the time, and he has that, okay? And another thing he does really well in that Byram Hills offense, he runs the zone very well. He runs that inside zone really well. He knows when to cut it back. He knows when to hit the hole hard. There is a lot to like about Matt Wheeler.
Yeah, when I looked at Matt, I think you kind of nailed it on the fact that he's balanced. Like, he has a little of everything. And, he has good speed, good power. I seen him even pancake dudes blocking.
Yes.
And the funny is I even see him throw a touchdown pass. I mean, he could do it all, right? He is a all-around weapon for Byram Hills. And that's a scary – he's one of those players that defenses have to key in on. Yeah. Like, wherever he is, expect him to get the ball in some way or be in on the play in some way. And the most important thing I notice about him is that his big playability is like out of this world, right? Yeah. It's off the charts. Like, every time he gets the ball, the chances of him making a big play, like a touchdown, like I've seen several, like 60-yard plus touchdowns, right? And that's just backbreaking for a defensive coach when you have the team back at like their 20. And all of a sudden, he just breaks away for a ginormous touchdown, and you're like, I can't do anything to stop that. And that's what scares me about this kid and what he can do in this coming season.
And I also did a breakdown on Matt last year, and we'll let the audience see what I think about Matt.
For this video, we're going to talk about number 5, Matt Wheeler of Byram Hills High School, located right here on the screen. He plays running back and inside and outside linebacker for Byram Hills. But for this video, I'm going to focus in on the running back position, and I really like this kid as a football player. At 5'11", over 200 pounds, he has good size for a running back, and he's a running back that can fit multiple schemes. I like his versatility, okay? He has good vision. He finds holes with his eyes very well. He has bursts, so he can burst through the hole. Once he gets in the open field, he has the speed to get big chunk plays. And he can break tackles multiple ways, which is what I like. He can run you over with his strength. He can give you a stiff arm. And he can also juke. He can give you a quick juke. He can give you a quick stutter step. He can make you miss an open field and in tight spaces. It's not just power. It's not just speed. He's got good versatility, and we're going to show a couple plays that show those traits. Okay, so I mentioned right here, all right, the offense on this play is they're going to run a shuttle pass. Okay, so they're going to motion this kid behind the quarterback. The quarterback has an option now to throw it to him, to the outside, or pitch it inside to Matt. He's going to decide to pitch it. Okay, it's a well-designed play, well-blocked. Okay. He's going to pitch it inside. There's a nice hole open right there. Now you're going to see the burst. Watch the burst. Look at him explode through, give a quick stiff arm, and then there's the home run speed. Okay. That's nice to see. Again, one more time, really quick. Again, watch the burst. Let's go to another play. Okay, he's located right here this time. All right, and they're going to run an inside zone. So they're going to attack the play side A gap right here, and now he has the option to bend it back to the backside A or backside B. He's actually going to bend it back to the backside B. He shows his versatility again. He puts his foot in the dirt. He's bending it down. He could have hit that A. He's going backside B, and now you're going to see the power. Okay, watch this. Boom, boom. There's that power right there. Again, really quick. Look at the power. Ducks his shoulder, runs people over. That's beautiful.
All right, Mars, next up, I'm going Pearl River, Liam Fitzpatrick. And I know there's questions out there as if Liam is going to play. I know he was 50-50. I spoke to Coach about this. But I think he deserves to be recognized while we wait to see if he is going to come out for football. He was honorable mention All-Rockland last year. And this kid at about 6 foot, 170 pounds. He's not the biggest guy. Okay, but towards the end of the season last year, he became a focal point of their rush attack. And he, like I was mentioning, he's not crazy physically athletic, right? He's not going to wow you physically. But I tell you what, he's a downhill runner, okay? He runs really hard, and he's a slippery guy. I see him get, 4-5 yards continuously. And it's just he's a body shot runner, is what I like to call it. He likes to wear down the defense, and eventually he's going to hurt you. Another thing I really like, too, he's a really good blocking back. I saw some lead blocks that he really pounded some people in open field. He can block linebackers. He can block DBs. He's a good lead back, whether he's holding and carrying the ball or he's blocking, and that's why I think he's deserving of one of Frank's finest. Next up, Mars, we're going Pleasantville, Matt May. This kid, he had over 350 yards of total offense. He's when I spoke to Coach, hardworking kid, co-captain of the team. And when I watch him on tape, the two words that come to me is toughness and grit. He's a tough and gritty running back. He has solid speed, not game-breaking speed, but he has enough speed to have successful downs on outside runs and sweeps. Okay, but what really makes him interesting is he's shifty. Right? He's shifty on inside runs. He's not afraid of running in between the tackle where, space gets tight and you got to run through contact. Not afraid of that. And when he gets to the open field, he can weave around and make plays. And I liked his ability that he can go out for passes. He has that versatility to him. And I think he's going to get a bigger role in Pleasantville's offense where you're going to see more of those traits that I saw on tape. I know he wasn't the focal point, but he was a good change of back from last year's group. And I think that he has some untapped potential, and we're really going to see it in this group. Moving on, Mars, Ryan Watson of Ardsley. I think this is the breakout player for the skill position this year. This kid is a junior. He was a sophomore last year on the championship team, Mars, at 6'2", 215 pounds. And what I can tell you is versatile. You can line up at wide receiver or tight end. I think he is one of the more savvy route runners at the tight end spot for a young guy. Okay, solid speed, and I'd also love he has the ability to block. He can block as the tight end spot. He can block out wide. He puts his nose in there. He drives his feet. He moves bodies. I mean, this kid's a well-rounded football player, and I really think he has a chance to pop off this season, Morris. Finally, to round it out, Stephen Franco of Byram Hills. Okay, this kid is, you can just call him an athlete because he lined up in multiple spots, wide receiver, tight end, a whole bunch of things at 6'3". He's running track at Boston University. And when I spoke to coach about him, great personality, intense on the field, but lay back off it. But when you watch him on tape, versatility just screams. He makes big plays at every spot on the offense. And what I like to call us as defensive guys, oh no speed. As in when he gets into the open field, defensive coordinators are saying, oh no, because he is going to bust this game open with that speed, and he's going to hit a home run. I also like, like I mentioned, at 6'3", 200 pounds, he has good size, right? And at that size, all that versatility, all those things that he has on his plate, he still runs solid patterns at the tight end spot or at the wide receiver spot, and he has good hands. So this guy, you want to talk about a weapon? This guy is one of the best players, not just in B, but in Section 1, Mars. Everyone that I've mentioned so far, what do you have any comments on?
There's really two guys I'm looking at, the ones you mentioned. Well, first of all, Stephen Franco, there's little things you can say bad against him. Like he like you said, is very, very versatile, can do so many different things. I just looking at all the positions he played. Played quarterback, played some running back, played some wide receiver, played some tight end. He played everything. Yes. And the fact that you said he has that speed, if you miss him, he's gone, right? And that's the scariest part about him. I already know defense is going to be keying off on him, to just say the least. But the problem is that Byram Hill's got a lot of those guys, right? They have to key off on him. Where is this guy at? And you kind of mentioned one of my favorite things is that I saw him pancaking dudes. Like not only is he a great skill player, but he can just just straight up block. Right, and he can really help on any sort of play that you're asking him to be in on. And obviously Ryan Watson of Varsity, he is an animal, like a monster. He's a sophomore going to be a junior this year. But watching his tape, he's just like, I don't know what, like, for a young guy, it's just, I don't like this. It's just crazy to see him do what he's doing. I mean, as a tight end, he always finds the ball. He always finds a way to be open. I'm sitting there like, I'm thinking to myself, well, is it because he's a sophomore and they think that, or maybe he's just that good, and it's crazy because
the Ardsley team was loaded.
Yes,
and to stand out on a loaded team is not easy, especially as a young player. And he did that, which was very impressive to both of us watching his team. And Mars, we actually did going back to Stephen Franco. We actually did an interview with Stephen Franco, and we're going to let the audience kind of see why we thought Stephen is a great football player. Joining us now, he is the wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, running back, defensive back. I want to welcome to the show Stephen Franco of Byram Hills. Welcome to the show, Stephen. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
And we really do appreciate you coming on the show. You were a 4-team All-State in 2019. I know football usually in the fall got pushed because of COVID, and I like to ask this question to every kid that we've interviewed. Why do you play football? What makes football important to you?
Yeah, so my dad's the whole reason why I played football. Played D1 football at St. John's back in college. So he's always just been a big part of like me playing, and he's always just been on my side and like pushed me to like, compete. And football is the sport where I find that that's like a big aspect of it. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you've decided to do track and field at Boston University, which is it's a great accomplishment, by the way. But you're also a pentathlon athlete, correct?
Yeah.
For the viewers out there, I know a pentathlon athlete is extremely impressive, right? You do multiple events, but for those who don't know what that is, can you just give a brief explanation of what a pentathlon athlete is?
Yeah. So pentathlete competes in 5 events. That being the 60-meter hurdles in indoor, long jump, high jump, shot put, and 1,000 meters. And all those like times and like throw lengths and like jumping lengths like all correlate together to like a total point score. And that's like your time essentially at the end of the day. So it's kind of like a very versatile sport.
It is. And, you bring that versatility with you. Like I mentioned at the top, you play multiple positions on the football field. That versatility from track,
definitely is correlating over to the football side, which is a very impressive thing I like about you. But sticking to what kind of drives you as a player and a person, is there anyone who motivates you? Is there a figure, a person at home that motivates you to be the kind of athlete and person that you are today?
Yeah. So as I said before, sorry, my dogs are barking.
That's no problem.
Yeah. So as I said before, my dad motivates me incredibly. Same with my trainers and Coach Carp. All of them just motivate me to be the best version of myself. And I pick pieces from each one of them to help me, be the most successful person I can be.
Mm-hmm. There is no perfect player, and there's always something to improve on. So I want to ask, what did you work on this off season to be a better player and a better leader for your program this coming season?
I worked on a lot of speed. That was the main theme of my training and everything. And then with leadership, Coach Carr posted 8 a.m. Zooms every Wednesday, talking about the book, The Obstacle is the Way. And that really just helped broaden my perspective on how to be a leader. And it just opened a lot of doors for me. So, yeah.
No, that's great. That's great. What are the goals that you set for your team this year? You're one of the leaders for your program. What are the goals that has been set amongst your teammates?
So we just want to win. I'd say that's like the only thing we want. Anything less than that would be a little bit of disappointment. Of course, you want to get some games in, but it's win or nothing. So yeah, that's all it is.
Now, I spoke to Coach about you. He says, you're an intense player on the football field, but laid back off it. Going outside of the sport of football and outside of the sport of track, what gets you intense off the field? What are you passionate about off the field that you could share with us?
Yeah, so I love hanging out with my friends. We do friend dinners sometimes. Going out to eat and stuff. In college, probably gonna major in the business field, so I'm pretty excited about that. So yeah,
that's great. We didn't just bring you on to ask you questions. We also wanted to talk some football and show some football clips of you. And I'm just going to bring that up really quick. But, this first play, right, you are the flanker to the left. You guys are an 11-gun personnel. You're the Z receiver. For those that don't know, do you know the difference between the Y, the Z, and the X?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Can you give a brief explanation for those that are watching, some of the young guys who might not know?
So your Y is most likely your tight end, or some put it in this as a slot receiver, but we put it as our tight end. And then the X and the Z are interchangeable for us as wide receiver outside positions. So.
Mm-hmm. And usually they like to put the Z on the strength, right? So there's a tight end left or an extra lineman to the left. They'll call you the Z. Excuse me. But this is you to the left, right? You're going to be running in motion, jet sweep to the right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Obviously, you got a lot of versatility and speed. So they're going to show you right out here. The defense does a pretty good job containing you, but look at the strength that you show, right? Obviously, you hit the gym, right? And that cutback right there, that's beautiful. But going back to this play, you get a jet sweep to the right. Is there a block or a read that you're looking at, or are you just running on instinct?
I'm kind of running on instinct. Carp always tells me that, just be an athlete and have fun out there. And, if you see something, take it, even if it's like not really involving the play. So I saw something and I took it right up, cut it up.
No, that's great. The defense actually does a pretty good job containing you, but this is where your elusiveness comes in right here. Right? That's good stuff. Right? This next play, now you're lined up as the Y, right? The tight end to the right. And they're going to show you right on this clip. Okay? This time they're going to throw to you. You're going to run a pattern. And you're going to be running a post on this team. Right? Pearl River. I mean, that looks like the easiest touchdown you can have. That's like an easy pitch and catch. But there's a little bit of nuances that I like about it, and that's why I want to talk to you. So we go jet motion to the right to try to dictate coverage, right? This safety is going to be coming over, but he doesn't come all the way over. He actually tries to undercut your route.
Mm-hmm.
You have a safety over the top on you, 10 yards off. You're supposed to run a post. Now, what dictates how you're going to change the kind of post you run, right? So if the safety comes underneath, what does coach told you, or what do you know you need to run change about your post route?
So coach was telling me this week, if the safety follows the motion all the way, I'm probably going to want to like keep it a little skinnier. But if he's like kind of not biting on our motion, then I want to cut him in the middle. So that's what I did here, I believe. So, yeah.
So if he stays and he backs off, you want to split the safeties. But
Yeah.
if he comes over, he goes underneath you, you want to cut more towards the middle of the field to give your quarterback a window, right? Right. So let's just see that right there. That's exactly what you do. So you see the safety comes over. He's going to actually sit underneath your route. And so you cut across the field to open up this nice window right there. That's a good job. And it's important that you made that point about the distinction. You know, when people just you hear young guys or you hear people who don't like the details, just run a post. But there's different nuances to your routes, right? Based on the coverage that you see or how the defense is playing you, correct?
Yeah.
All right, this next play, you're in the backfield. Now you're at the running back spot, right? So they're going to run another type of motion to try to dictate the defense, and they're going to throw a bubble to you to the left side, right? So here you go, right? This looks to be pretty well covered, but again, elusiveness, right? Look at the balancing, right? And so I ask you, what do you do to work on your balance? Look at you tight-roping there on the sideline. What do you do to work on your balance? When people make contact with you, how do you stay on your feet?
So being a multi-sport athlete, I gotta hurdle with track, so it's kind of like where my balance work comes in. And then of course a little bit in the off season with my trainer, I do a lot of balance stuff to keep me in balance and keep me on my feet as much as possible. So yeah.
So again, we show that they're going to motion right, but because of the versatility and the threat that you have, right, the defense is always going to have an eye on you. So when they motion this guy to the right, I mean, you got a bunch of guys running that way because this number 5 is a good football player too, but you got this defensive end, the safety, their eyes are on you. They actually read this play. So they get out there on this throw, and yet this should be a 2-yard gain.
Yeah.
And yet you find a way to hit a home run on this. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I mean, that's just the dive in the end zone is a little dangerous, but the rest of it's real good stuff.
Yeah.
This last part, now you're at quarterback. I mean, you've lined up at multiple spots. Before we go into this play, can you just explain to us, how do you remember all these different positions and all these different plays and all these different responsibilities?
Yeah, so Carp has us run through a lot in practice. Pre-practice, always taking exchanges, catching passes, doing long snaps, throwing the ball a little bit, whatever I can, to help out the team. And I played so many positions just throughout like my career, like playing football and quarterback being one of them. So, I know like a lot. I know like a lot of the positions on the field pretty well. So, yeah.
So can you break any news to us? Does Coach have any pass plays coming up for you at quarterback this year?
He may actually.
Oh, we're going to see a little throwing. I'm going to add to the arsenal, huh?
Yeah.
So on this play, you're at the quarterback spot. You're going to run a famous spread play, which is power read, right? I mean, look at you go right here. I mean, you got great speed once you get into the open field. I mean, that's great stuff. That's going to make a lot of defensive coordinators sweat when you get into the open field. But can you explain to us the read that you make on this power read? I mean, coaches spend a lot of time just to get the quarterbacks to do it correctly, full-time quarterbacks. So what read are you making on this play?
So I'm making a power read. So I'm going to read the end man on the line of scrimmage. So if he cuts up the field and looks at my running back, then I'm going to take it. But if he looks at me and comes at me, then I'm going to give it to my running back, Jack. So it's kind of what we did here. So.
And how long do you hold on to the ball for when you make that read?
We have a 2-step shuffle that we do. So that's kind of how long.
So that's perfect. No, I hear that. 2 shuffle. There's 1, there's 2. And now here's the look, right? This guy's leaning to the outside. All right, so you're going to keep it.
Yep.
So the question now I have is, even though you made the right read on this one, what would you do if the defender went right at you?
If the defender went right at me, I'd probably hand it off to Jack and, just start block and try to find a guy, find work, yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's exactly how it's done. I mean, this is a great read. Good block on the second level, and then you do the rest. That's good football right there. That's how you draw it up. And so, we went over a bunch of plays. We obviously really like your versatility. And we didn't get to go over on the defensive side of the ball, even though you made a few plays on that end as well.
Mm-hmm.
But before we end this interview, I just wanted to ask if you wanted to give any shout out to anybody who's helped you along the way or anyone you wanted to recognize before we finish this up.
Yeah, so Carl Fissner, who's my trainer, he's helped train me since I was in 7th grade, and I wouldn't be where I am without him. And then David Gold, who's my best friend from my entire childhood, who's our kick team.
I mean, I see David too. He's working hard at kicking on all the videos that I've come in contact with him. But that's great, Stephen. I want to thank you again for joining the show. This is Stephen Franco of Byram Hills High School. We really look forward to watching you this upcoming season and talking to you in the future.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, thank you, Stephen.
All right, Mars. Let's move to the O-line and the hog mollies. Can't have you can't be successful without controlling the line of scrimmage.
No.
So let's dive into those linemen, Mars. And first up, we're going Byram Hills. I'm going Eli Ratson. Like I mentioned, Byram Hills, the senior. He was 4-team All-State. And when I spoke to Coach about him, there's a great football IQ, great understanding of the game. And when you put on the tape and watch this guy, he's one of the better two-way players. And this is not going to be the last time we speak about Eli. But he's one of the better two-way players in this class. And, he plays bigger than what he is on the offensive line, right? He's at about 6'1", 210 pounds. He's got really good feet. And it's because he's got good athleticism. You can see his athleticism when he blocks because he's got quick feet. He also has that ability, which you like, to finish the block, right? He wants to pancake you. He wants to punish you. And we see that with him. He can do most of the blocks. He can down block. He can drive block. He can definitely pull because of his athleticism. He can block at the second level. And he shows the strength that he can hold his own even when it's a single block. Right, he's not the biggest guy like I talked about, but he shows that strength in his base and the way he moves his feet, and he's not going to get pushed around. He's going to do the pushing, and that's really impressive to watch from this kid, Mars. Moving on to the next one, I'm going Kyle Matson of Ardsley, and this kid, 5'10", 245 pounds. Okay, this kid squats 500 pounds and benches 300 pounds. Okay, this guy obviously is a gym guy, not the tallest, but he is a bull. He is a bull, and you can see that strength when he's blocking people. He moves bodies. Okay, he can drive block, he can move the point of attack, he can move the line of scrimmage, but he's also nimble enough to do trap blocks. Okay, when you're into the trenches, Mars, it's a fight.
Yes.
And this is the kind of guy you want in the trenches, in a fight. That's the kind of bull that he is. Mars, any comments on the first two as before we move on?
Well, Eli Ratson is definitely a guy that I really like to watch. I mean, he, like you said, he's not a massive individual, but he has that aggressiveness that it's hard to go up against a guy like that. Like you said, that I'm in your face and I'm going to give you a hit every time you come in front of me type of mentality. And that's one of my favorite things about any sort of lineman. But you have to be that way, especially when your size, your statures may not be as large as some of these defensive players you're going up against. But like you said, he has this punch that's just going to shock you, right? Even just watching tape, I would feel it. I would be like, whoa, that was a shot. But the other thing you mentioned was his footwork, his speed, his ability to get into zone blocks very well, and then break off those zone blocks to get to the second level, right? And then he fits himself perfectly. Right? Then one of the best things I like to teach offensive line-wise is being able to throw your hips and get in the way of where the defender wants to go, and he does that very well. For a guy that we'll talk about him a little bit later, give a little hint here, but he is a great two-way player by just looking at the tape for sure. I mean, he is definitely a guy I love to see more of.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to Kyle, I actually did a breakdown on Kyle Matson of Ardsley, and we'll let the audience see what I think about Kyle.
Let's move to the offensive side of the ball. Again, I mentioned him. He lined up at guard, shown the ability to pull, but he had really good drive and zone blocker. He really moves the line of scrimmage. And he uses his leverage very well, okay? And not the tallest guy, but he gets under your shoulder pads and he shows that strength that he has. So he is located at the guard spot. Okay? You're going to see him. This is a drive block right here. They're going to run right behind him. And watch him move, guys. Okay? Look at the leverage. Look at him get underneath him. And then this is the finish. Right? You want to see this from linemen. Okay? You want to see that nasty finishing block from offensive lineman. And he has that. Yeah, again, look at the nice base. Look at him have wide feet when he drives and just finishes them off. Okay, you see that often. Okay, let's go to one more play. Again, locate at the left guard spot. They're actually going to double this guy right here. They're going to try to run right behind him again. Okay? But a guy with this kind of strength, that's the kind of guy you want to run behind. And they just absolutely move this guy. And it's not just moving him off the line of scrimmage, it's turning him away from the play. Okay, so let's watch him. Okay, look at him turn him. I mean, look at this gaping hole they created right here. I mean, that's a walk-in touchdown. And the end result is a pancake. Again, look at the drive. Look at him turn him. Again, this is a gaping hole right here. And the finish. I mean, that's good stuff. Impressive two-way player. Again, he's going to be a more prominent guy. A lot of people are going to know. There was on a team full of really good players on Ardsley. And this kid, you know, coming back, he's going to be one of the few returners coming back for next year. I'm excited to see how he takes that mantle.
All right, Mars, continuing with the offensive lineman. Next up from Westlake, Vincent Bravo, the big offensive tackle. Again, not the tallest, but I got to tell you, at 6'1", 240 pounds, you might not think that's a large individual. And when I spoke to Coach, he has a brother named Matt who played for the 2015 Westlake team, and Coach said he's almost the exact opposite of his brother. He's a quiet individual. He does everything you ask, and he gets better each week. And those couldn't be any more truer when you watch the tape. Okay, when you watch him, as the season goes on, he keeps getting better and better. And what stands out to most about him, I really like his feet. He has really nimble feet for a big man. And I tell you, it helps him block at the second level. It helps him seal the edge when they rush outside. This guy, for his size, you don't think he has that first step. He really does. He has that really good first step, and he moves his feet really well. And when he gets his hands locked in, he can finish. Right? He can finish. You can see him tossing some dudes and moving the point of attack once he gets his hands locked in and he drives those feet. But the feet are the most impressive. I think he is one of the more nimble offensive linemen of this class, and he's definitely deserving to be on this list. Moving on, Mars, to the next one, offensive tackle from Byram Hills, Julian Carnevale. This kid, another athletic offensive lineman at 6'2", 220 pounds. When I spoke to Coach, he has a real nasty streak to him, and he's really matured since he's been on the varsity from the first time he's gotten there to this point when I spoke to Coach about him. And it rings true again when you watch the tape. Athletic kid, right, with good feet. He can really down block. He can move people when he gets his hands locked inside, and he can get to that second level, which is extremely important for an offensive lineman. That nasty streak, you can see it on tape. He wants to rip your head off, and, you know, when he throws you to the ground, he's the guy who's going to lay on you. He's the guy who's going to pile on, like we like to call it, at the offensive line spot. And I like a nastiness to the offensive line to finish a block. And it's really important to finish a block when you can. And this kid can definitely do it. Finally, to wrap it up, Mars, we're going to Pearl River, Adrian Hashaj. Again, I apologize if I butcher your name. I'm terrible with names, but Adrian from Pearl River, the big man, interior lineman at 6'3", 250 pounds. Mars, when I spoke to Coach, in the beginning when he came out to varsity, he took his lumps, and he's really grown to be a leader for this team. And last year, Mars, he played with a partially torn ACL. That's extremely difficult to do. And when you watch this man, a man of his size, he has above average speed for a big man. At 6'3", 250 pounds is a large human being. But you know what it comes. He comes with that power. Okay, he can drive people, he can drive bodies, he can move the point of attack at that size. But again, with a partially torn ACL, with the feet that he has, he was still able to do some short pulls, kick people out, and even pull and get to the next level for a man that size, which is definitely impressive. And obviously, doing all that with the injury that you have, and from the stories that I heard from Coach, the word that comes out to me is tough.
Yes, for sure.
Mars, what comments do you have on the other three that we spoke about to wrap this up.
Of the three, I think Vincent Bravo is definitely the one that impresses me the most. Like you said, I think one of the first things you mentioned was the ability, his nimble feet, his ability to move at his size. I mean, 6'1", 240, and then you look him on tape and you say, all right, well, he's definitely going to be a bruiser, but then he's moving. Like, he's just flying by people. Like, like you said, his zone blocks are very impressive. His ceiling is really impressive. But what impresses me the most is his down blocks. Yeah. And the reason why is because that's kind of the general idea. When you get a massive tackle, like clearing house, he literally wipes down the line. And then one thing I really like is when he gets his hands on you, you expect a ride, right? And I like to call it the ballerina dance, like where you start picking up the ballerina in the air. I seen this guy literally throwing dudes all over the place, and that's what impressed me. This speed with the power, wow, that's impressive.
Absolutely. Mars, moving on now to defense, and we're going with the front seven, so we're including defensive linemen and linebackers. Let's start off a name that we've heard already, Eli Ratson, Mars, of Byram Hills. Again, 4-team All-State. He's that defensive edge, if you want to call him. And, when you watch this kid, and you mentioned it previously, he's a very well-rounded edge defender, both in the run and pass game, Mars. As a pass rusher, he gets a solid start out of his stance, but he has really good hands, and that's where he wins with. He wins with a solid start and really good hands. He's got a good rip move. He gets to the quarterback. He can play a licking on the quarterback, too. He knows how to finish, which is an important thing, not just getting to the quarterback, but finishing the sack or finishing the pressure and getting the quarterback on his butt. That's really important. In the run game, Mars, he shows strength. He rarely gets moved off his spot, even when he gets doubled, which is an impressive feat. He knows how to split a double. He knows how to anchor down when people are trying to double him at the point of attack. I also really like his awareness. His awareness and speed really makes it difficult to get him sealed. Okay, so whenever you're running pitch to him or run outside towards his side, he does a really good job getting it to come back inside. Okay, and that's because of his speed. That's because of his awareness. And Coach talked about his IQ. You could see that on tape. Moving to the next one, Mars, from Pleasantville, Jack Collins. I really like this kid. I think he's an underrated football player. He had 3 sacks, 42 tackles, at 6'3", 205 pounds. He committed at Holy Cross to play lacrosse. And when I talked to Coach about him, big, strong, and smart. Those are 3 pretty darn good words to describe him because he's just really solid. He's just really productive in both the run and pass game. There's not something that, he doesn't have this elite speed or this elite size, but he has a good mixture of both. He's strong at the point of attack. He's another guy who knows how to use his hands. It's really important for a defensive lineman to be able to use his hands, okay? That's how you get off blocks. Unless you have supreme strength or supreme speed, the best way to disengage is to use your hands. He does a good job of that. He also shows good football awareness, and I like those. I like smart football players. This kid shows it. Moving on to the next one, Mars, defensive lineman, going to Westlake, Stephen Ojeda. Remember, my affiliation with short football players is high, and this is a defensive lineman at 5'7", Mars. A defensive lineman at 5'7". And when I asked Coach, he reminds me of somebody I played with back in Mayapack, Nick Poplow. And, when I spoke to Coach about him, and he said, he's built the reputation at Nyack on a defense around speed, right? And if you watch this kid play, he exemplifies that trait, which is speed. He's also a really hard worker. He's just explosive. He fires out of his stance. He's like a rocket. He just shoots out of his stance, causes a lot of penetration that really disrupts a lot of plays. Any slow-footed offensive lineman that he goes up against is going to have some serious trouble. And this kid, I like his versatility. He can line up at the nose. He can line up as a loop tackle. He can line up as an eagle tackle. And those who don't know, one tackle's slanting, one tackle's, got pretty much contained. Mm-hmm. This kid can do multiple spots, which, I always love versatility. Another player, Mars, at the linebacker spot, Nanuet, Tim Ryan, all Rockland County. 6'1", 210 pounds, pretty good size. And when I spoke to Coach, very instinctive, high-energy guy and reads an offense well. He's at that outside linebacker spot, Mars. He has really good speed. Like Coach said, he's got really solid speed to stop the outside run. And he's strong that wide receivers want nothing to do with him. right? Like wide receivers really struggle blocking this guy. Even the tight ends are having trouble blocking this guy because he has speed, because he has strength, and he can also finish. He comes like a missile, and a lot of people don't want nothing to do with him. But that's another question. But Tim Ryan is definitely somebody, another linebacker who I really like, Mars. Ryan Abed Marco from Byram Hills. This kid at 5'10", 180 pounds. He had 81 tackles, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. When I spoke to Coach, he says he's a coach's dream, Mars. Old school, throwback football player, bright kid who wants to know why he does certain things. And you can tell this kid is a smart, high IQ football player when you watch on tape. He's one of the best linebackers in Section 1 at diagnosing plays, not just B. In Section 1 in diagnosing plays. Okay, he takes really good angles to the ball. He's got solid range. It's not elite range. He's got solid range. But he also has the athleticism to both drop in coverage in zone and even play some man. Which again, when you have a linebacker who can do that, that is a well-rounded linebacker. And this kid has that. Finally, to wrap it up, Mars. Well, actually, we have one more after that. Excuse me. Another linebacker, James Liberis from Ardsley. He's my next linebacker. He's the thumper. At 6'1", 205 pounds, 85 tackles, 4 forced fumbles. This kid's a downhill running back. Downhill linebacker, excuse me. He also plays running back, but he's a downhill linebacker. He really never goes sideways. He wants to meet you in the hole. He wants to diagnose the play, meet you on the other side of the line of scrimmage, which as a Mike linebacker is really important. Okay, so this kid, when he lines you up, he knows how to knock you out. Okay, he's a good finisher, but that's what really impresses me is both the size, the solid range, and his ability to put a hurting on running backs. To wrap it up, we couldn't go without this guy, the defensive end and edge from Pearl River, Hodgson Cheristal Mars. He was first team All Rockland County. This kid is an athletic freak. 6'3", 185 pounds. He had 85 tackles, 6 sacks, a pick, multiple pass deflections. Just a lot of raw talent in him. A lot of raw talent and athleticism. He shows, he has really great length, and he explodes out of his stance, which causes major issues trying to run to his side. When you're trying to run outside of him, that's a tough trick. It's tough to get him sealed. It's tough to get outside his length. As a pass rusher, Mars, he has those long arms and that athleticism, that speed right out of his stance with those long arms. It's tough for tackles to get him because he keeps those linemen out of his body when he's pass rushing, and then he uses that speed to get around them. They have a really tough time stopping this guy, but he also shows the athleticism. This is what makes him unique to drop into coverage. Okay, so that's a guy who can rush the passer and drop into zone coverage. Now, he could definitely work on his strength. I think strength is something that he could definitely build, but this kid, freaky football player, right? Those type of guys that you just want him at the point of attack at all times. Mm-hmm. But Mars, I gave you a nice, real long list.
Listen, I mean,
give me some of the guys that you want to talk about.
There's 3 guys I want to key in on really here, and that's going to be first off Eli Rotson. You kind of, he is the most animalistic guy I've seen. And I mentioned this earlier in the show, the fact that I think he is probably one of the best or the best two-way player in my eyes, right? And the first thing I kind of noticed is that he's always in on the backfield every play. I feel like he should might as well just have a bed back there because he's always constantly in the backfield. Whether it's on a pass, as you mentioned, he always finds his way to get to the quarterback. But one of the most impressive things I find is his hand usage, right? He knows how to use his hands, whether it's a rip move, swim move, swiping. It really, he has a repertoire of a bunch of different things he likes to use. And the other thing you mentioned was his run stopping, right? He just finds a way to be near the ball every play. And I rarely see any successful plays being run to his side, right? He's kind of like one of those players that, as an offensive mind, you should key away from him because he's just so lethal. He's just such an animal. But as you kind of mentioned, he just lays a pop on you, right? I like that about him as an offensive lineman. He brings it with him to the defense, right? It's some plays I watched where he had a shot at the quarterback, and boy, it felt painful when I watched it.
I think
it felt painful watching that thing, and he just knows how to get to him, and he just does it so well. The next one, Jack Collins, Pleasantville. He is a big boy, 6'3", 205, but he uses his hands so well for just being a bigger dude. And I think the most impressive thing is his burst right off the gate. He knows how to do it from standing up, from the 3-point stance. Yeah. He can do it all, and I think that's probably the best thing about it is that he also does a very good job at setting the edge. In a league full of running backs that will kill you on the edge with their speed, I rarely see plays get really to his side, right? Because he does such a good job at stopping anything going outside of him. I've seen him make plays at the sideline. I've seen him make plays right at his position. I really like the guy quite a lot, and I'm just impressed with him for what he's able to do and just how successful he's been, especially with using his hands and getting that burst off the line. And lastly, James Labaris, he is, like you said before, a powerhouse, right? He is a stereotypical Mike linebacker that's going to lay the pain down, right? And every time he's going to meet you in the hole, you're going to be the one that loses that fight, right? And he makes sure you know that every single play. And I think that's like the most impressive thing about him, in my eyes, is that he will find where the ball's going to be. And when he gets there, he's going to make sure you know it was him that hit you, right? And that's the best thing about any linebacker, really. Like obviously you're going to have those different types for your speed linebackers and the play recognition linebackers, but Labaris is that one that's just going to make you feel pain.
Yes.
Like, he's going to make you regret wanting to run the ball to his side, really. But yeah, I think when I look at those three guys, they impress me the most, and I love my front seven.
Yes, and going back to Hudson Cheristol and the athletic, just an athletic freak that he is. I did do a breakdown on this young man from Pearl River, and I'm going to give the audience a chance to see why I think Hodson is a special football player.
For this video, we're going to talk about number 9, Hudson Cheristol, defensive end and outside linebacker for Pearl River High School, located right here on the screen. This kid was first team All-Rockland County last year, listed at 6'3". He had 6 sacks. He's a long, explosive edge defender. He makes impact plays in both the passing and run game. And I tell you what, I mentioned his long arms. He has really good hands as well. He uses his hands to fend off blockers. He also has good bend on the edge. He can get around the corner pretty quickly. And he has the athleticism to play in space. I've seen him drop into coverage. Obviously, he can work on some technique. He can also put on some mass. He's listed about 200 pounds. But there is a lot to like there. He also has really good effort, and you can't teach that. Okay, he has really good effort. He's trying to punch the ball out every time he makes contact with somebody. He forces turnovers. There is a lot to like. I think he's one of the better defensive line prospects coming back from Section 1 or edge defenders. We're going to go over a few plays. Okay, I mentioned where he is on the screen. He's located right here. He's going to be coming off the edge. The offense is going to try to run a screen, but they're going to have a tight end trying to block him, which is a tough assignment. Okay, so they're going to try to do a screen right underneath him. Watch the explosion. Watch his hand usage. And then watch him be athletic. Okay, watch him come off the edge. Look at him bend around the corner. Okay, quarterback's going to try to get rid of the ball, but look at the athleticism. Look at him come up, knock the ball away. Pretty much blows up that play. One more time. Again, watch him. Look at him bend. Look at him rip that arm through. And again, the athleticism. Let's go to another play. Okay, this is him now out in space. Right? Hands not always in the dirt. He's in 2-point stance. He's going to go into the flats. They're going to try to target the slot receivers. They're going to try to throw inside of him. Watch him show athleticism here. Okay, look at him dropping coverage. He's watching the quarterback. Watch this concentration. Look at that. Look at this interception. Great concentration for the INT. Okay, kid played some tight end too, so, he's got solid hands. Again, athleticism. Concentration. Look at that. Impact plays. That's big time stuff. Let's go to another play. Here is him again, 2-point stance in the outside linebacker role. He's going to be coming off the edge. Okay, you're going to see him blitzing off the edge. You're going to see the speed. You're going to see him track down the quarterback for his sack. Okay, and watch the athleticism again. This kid can do multiple things. Look at him come off the edge, try to chip him. Doesn't do much for him, but watch him just hunt this guy down and make the sack. It's good stuff. Okay, he can come on a blitz. He shows that athleticism. He doesn't always have to be in a 3-point stance. You can move him around. There's a lot to like. Look at him go. Let's go to one more play. All right. Hear him again on the edge, 2-point stance. What they're going to choose, they're going to try to run outside of him. Okay, they're going to try to run a direct snap to the running back. Quarterback's going to lead. Tight end's going to try to hook him. Again, tough assignment for a tight end. But watch him use his hands, use his long arms. He's going to control the block. He's not going to get hooked, and then he's going to disengage and make a play. Okay, so watch him. He's going to try to fight him. Look at him fight outside. Look at him disengage, keeping his body outside, and look at him punch the ball out. Right? Forcing the fumble. Let's watch it again. Talented football player. Look at him disengage. Look at him punch the ball out. Force a potential turnover. That's great stuff. I think this kid is one of the more impressive defensive players coming back for Section 1 this upcoming season. I'm excited to see his growth.
All right, Mars, wrapping up. We're going to go to the defensive backs and the kicker to finish this off. And starting with my first defensive back, I'm going to Nanuet, DeAndre Edwards, the senior. He was honorable mention all Rockland County. This kid has really good size and length, Mars. 6'4", 200 pounds. That's a really nice, that's kind of a college size that you're looking at with that size and length. And when I spoke to Coach, he really believes that this kid has the potential to play at the next level. He mentioned that size and length that really impresses him. My take, I like his range. He's at that safety spot. Sometimes he's probably at that single safety high look where he kind of acts like that center fielder, and he can make plays, make it break on balls over the middle and towards the numbers. This kid attacks the football. He forces turnovers. And when he forces turnovers, he's really dangerous. If you want to see what I'm talking about, click into the game of Nanuet versus Chester. This kid made game-changing plays, not just on the defensive side, but he's also a really good returner, right? So, when he returns punts, he makes a lot of plays in special teams as well. He also had multiple INTs this year. He's also not afraid to get involved in the run game. Now, I do think he can improve on his open field tackling, but this kid makes a lot of plays, especially in the passing game where he's attacking the ball and using that length and range that he has. And I think this kid has a lot of potential, and I'm definitely impressed, and he deserves to be on this list. The next one I want to talk about, Mars, from Putnam Valley, Ethan Mornier. This kid, not overly big, right? He's, again, not somebody who's going to just impress you with his size, because he's not a big guy. But this kid is quick. Okay, he had multiple INTs. I think it was 4 interceptions. He does a really good job of reading the pass routes in front of him, attacking the ball at the safety spot. And he's also not afraid in the run game, given his size. He'll come up, he'll make the tackle in open field, he'll make the tackle in the box if he has to. This kid, again, I think he's an underrated football player from Putnam Valley, and I think he deserves also to be on this list. Let's move down to Hen Hud, another defensive back, Nick Cepeda. This kid, not only big guy, Mars, but he's really smooth. He has fluid hips. He can change direction very quickly. He really has a nose for the football. He finds a way to pick the ball off. He finds a way to attack the ball. And when this kid picks the ball off, he is dangerous to bring it to the house. And he did that multiple times last year. This kid wants to attack the football, change possessions. This is a football-hungry football player. And Mars, he plays this off coverage where he can read most of the time. He plays off coverage that he can read the quarterback, read the routes in front of him, and make a break towards the ball. This kid does that pretty darn well. He's also another kid not afraid to get involved in the run game. Could improve on his strength. But again, another impressive defensive back. And to wrap it up, Mars, another defensive back from Hen Hud. They got DBs over there. Ryan Travis. And this kid, at 5'11", 180 pounds, I think he's one of the more well-rounded corners in this class. Arguably the most well-rounded. He has good speed and awareness to play both man and zone, and I like his ability to plant his foot and break on the football. He reads routes well. He takes good angles to attack the football. And he's also a physical corner. He will, when corners don't usually like to get involved in the run game, they do it out of just necessity. This kid is a physical corner that will get involved and will put a licking on you, whether you're catching the ball or whether you're running the ball to his side. And I really like that in the corner. I like physical corners who can run, and this kid is one of them, Mars. Out of the group I talked about, anybody you want to jump in on?
Yeah, I'll talk about both Hen Hud defensive backs. I mean, they're pretty lethal. I mean, first, Ryan Travis, you kind of just mentioned some key things I kind of have here too. The fact that he is a high school defensive back that can play well in both man and zone is a very difficult thing to find, right? When you have that guy that granted, he might be able to improve on some things, but a lockdown and for the most part, that's a very good asset to have on your defense. I mean, like you said, he's going to impose his will, right? And a lot of times secondary players, and I don't want to rag on you because you're a secondary guy, but a lot of times they don't like to get into the grit. They don't like to lay the hit on anyone, but he likes to do that. He likes to show the toughness that he has, and that's why I really like him as a secondary player, because he has the speed, he has the awareness, he can read offensive players. And then he likes to give a licking, right? These are all things that only amount to why he's a Frank's finest defensive back. And then lastly, Nick Zepeda. I mean, you kind of said that he finds the ball very well, and that's one of the most impressive things. And very, very similar to his buddy close to him, he can read offenses really well, right? And that's something as a secondary unit that can do that. You can applaud the coaching staff, but you can just applaud the kid, right? That they're both going to be able to read offenses, read routes really well, and take the right angles to make the play whenever it gets thrown in your direction, right? That having that on a defense opens the door for so many different things.
It is, and the coaches and the kids deserve a lot of credit. Hud's got a couple good corners over there. And going back to one of them, Ryan Travis, I did a breakdown on this young man. And we'll show the audience why I think Ryan is a special football player.
For this video, we're going to talk about number 24, Ryan Travis, the cornerback and running back of Hud High School, located right here on the screen. This kid at 5'11", 180 pounds, solid-sized kid, and I think he's one of the more well-rounded corners returning from last year, whether it's in the pass game or in stopping the run. This kid has good, fluid hips, and he does a real good job breaking on the ball. He really plants that back foot out of his stance and shoots forward. He also has good strength, and he can bang around with the bigger receivers and also stop the run using that strength. An impressive, well-rounded football player. Things to work on. I mentioned he's good at multiple things. I'd love to see him try to take that next step this year, right? Whether it's man coverage or zone coverage, really see him grow both in technique and just aggressiveness. Let's go over a couple of plays that impressed me. I mentioned he's located out here. He's going to be in man coverage, okay? And he's going to go man coverage against a comeback route, which is really difficult for a corner to do. It's a long route. It's a lot of space to cover. But again, fluid hips, does a really good job breaking on the ball. Watch him go. Okay, good back pedal. Now he does open his hips a little quick, but look at this break. It's a great break on the ball, and look at him dive and create a turnover right here for the INT. I mean, that's really good. Okay. We'd like him to stay square a little bit longer, but look at the back pedal, smooth back pedal. He gets his hips flipped open. Once he sees that break, look at his break on the ball. Right? He's right in that wide receiver's hip pocket, and that's an INT. That's a really good job. Let's go to another play. Okay, here he is located out here. Again, this is him stopping the run. Okay, they're going to run a sweep to him. Right? Wide receiver's going to try to block him. This kid shows good strength. Okay, he's not a small corner. Again, look at him. Look at the hands inside. Look at him. He just throws a blocker right to the ground, and now he's got to make a play in open field. And he does that. One more time. And watch him. Well-rounded corner. Again, blows right through that guy. Again, now to make a play. Impressive stuff. Let's go to another play. Right, located out here. Right, they're going to see zone coverage now. Right, they're in a cover 2 concept. Okay, they're going to motion this outside receiver. He's going to go to the flats. Cover 2 concept means this outside corner has got the flats. This safety's got the outside third. Okay, once this guy motions, this middle safety is going to get the middle of the field. Okay, so you're going to see, right, he moves to the middle of the field, the snap of the ball, outside third, flats. Okay, again, back pedal, he sees the route come out. Look at him come up, deliver a big hit, stonewalls the play, right? Got to show the ability to finish plays, and he does that. Again, he sees it, good break on the ball, delivers a big hit. Let's go to another play. Here he is on the outside. Okay, they're going to run a sweep to him, right? He's got to contain, right? So he's got to stop the outside run. He's got to force the play back in. And he does that. He's going to take on the lead blocker. He's got good leverage to the outside. He's going to disengage and make a tackle. Okay, one more time. And well-rounded. Passing game and the running game make plays in both.
All right, Mars, finally, let's get to the kicker. And this kind of was a two-man race for me, and I'll give you both the contenders. One of them was David Gold of Byron Hills. You saw not just the work that he puts in the offseason, that's pretty easy, but this kid coming back, a talented kicker, who's going up against, it feels like this rivalry that's developing. Darren Judge of Ardsley is another kicker Both these guys, strong contention, but I have to go with Darren Judge of Ardsley. And, this kid was second team All-State in 2019. He was 39 to 42 on his PAT attempts. That's a 93% conversion rate. He was also 5 to 7 for field goals. Okay, so Darren had a tremendous year in 2019. He comes back. I really like the consistency that this kid brings, and he's going to round off our Frank's Finest list as the kicker for this group.
Yeah, I mean, listen, 93% high school PAT completions, 5 for 7 field goals. High school, like I said in the other show, field goal, finding a good kicker in high school is a rare thing to find, especially a consistent one. That's really what I mentioned last time, and he's very consistent. And that's something that's a weapon to have. And a lot of people might not say, special teams. Special teams is a big
Huge
deal.
part.
It's a big
Absolutely.
part of football, and having a consistent kicker that's going to get you those extra points, get you those field goals, that's crucial.
Absolutely, and that is it, Mars. Another list down, our Frank's Finest for Class 1B. I hope you guys enjoyed our little show here. And again, kudos to the kids that we've mentioned. And if kids who weren't mentioned, if that gives you a little extra motivation.
Like I said, you can easily get Frank's picture, right, and just put it on your locker and say, I'm making Frank's Finest next year, or I'm making Frank regret not having me on his list.
I'm okay with it. I'm absolutely okay with it, but I hope you guys enjoyed our show. Again, coming up next is going to be our 1C and D class, and that will be coming soon. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you all very soon.